So, welcome to the second video in our series here, talking about various places to access high quality information. So, this video is going to walk you through the KVCC library materials, and many students don't realize it, but as part of your tuition and as part of your membership here to the KVCC community, you have access to very valuable, high quality materials that you otherwise would not have access to. In the same way that you need a subscription to get a magazine or a newspaper, you need subscription access to many of the academic journals that are in circulation. Now, many of those are becoming open access or open source, so you can read those for free, and research that is federally funded or funded through some other government entity is often, those manuscripts are also often available for free, but you will find that there are many times when you will try to access a document through other means and you will reach a paywall. And the short story is you should never pay for access to a journal article or a piece of material that you're looking for. Instead, you should rely on our library as a means for accessing that, because we have not only the subscription services that I'm about to show you, but we also have working relationships with all the libraries around the state and beyond, which gives us a further network of resources that you can access. So this may be old hat for some of you, but for some of you this might be brand new, and some of you, you may really appreciate the refresher. So from the KVCC website here, I'm going to go to academics. I'm going to go to library. There's a beautiful little picture here and some great information. I'm going to click this link that says to learn more about the library or to begin your library research. It's going to take me to this page here. This would be probably a great page for you to bookmark, to have one-click access to. And so I just want to show you quickly here that these are all of the services and catalogs that we have access to here at KVCC. Some of them are password protected, and so this highlighted area here has all of the database passwords. We're pretty much going to focus on one database and one other tool. So I'm going to show you how to use the EBSCO ebook and journal database, but certainly if any of these other resources are germane to what you're doing or you're interested in them, you are more than welcome to check those out. And if they're password protected, I would encourage you to click on that link and jot those down. I will also note that sometimes you are restricted access off campus, and so you may have to log in and authenticate yourself as a KVCC user. When that happens, it'll often redirect you to the portal, and you'll just be asked to log in really quickly. And again, that's because this information is valuable, literally, in terms of how much it costs, and so we don't want just anybody having access to it. You have to authenticate yourself as a user. So without further ado here, I'm just going to give you a quick walkthrough. And first I'll show you this EBSCO ebook and journal database, and then I'll show you a great citation tool called Noodle Tools. And so I'm going to click on this link here, and lo and behold, it's going to ask me for a user ID and password. Very simple for EBSCO. The username is Ken, and the password is Valley. And again, if you need that, you can find that in the highlighted area. I'm going to click Sign In, and now I'm an authenticated user. I'm going to save that so that it always recognizes me. And so you're going to have a decision to make here, and these are basically all of the databases that are part of the EBSCO database network or family. I generally don't go through and pick them a la carte. I generally just say, let's search them all. So I'm going to click Select All and then Continue, and it's going to bring you to a very familiar search window. And there's some really cool stuff that you can do, which I'll show you. But let's just imagine that you're doing research. Say you're trying to find your article for the first major assignment, the summary and analysis. You're probably going to want to just start generally with some search terms related to the topic that you're interested in. One of the things that students have written about recently that I find particularly interesting is the idea of adventure therapy, so using outdoor wilderness type experiences or other types of adventures for their therapeutic benefit to treat various mental health conditions, etc. So just for presentation purposes, that's what I'm going to use as my search term. And so first and foremost, I'll start with that, adventure therapy. Okay, and certainly here I could click search, and it would pull any related articles that have that search term in it as a keyword or tagged to that particular article. I'm going to take it one step further, and I'm going to add another term to that, and I'm going to do that by using what's called a Boolean operator, and that's just simply and, or not. And so if I put and in all caps there, that's basically telling the computers that I need both of the terms that I'm about to list to be true in order to return a positive result. I will post a handout in the week 3 folder on Blackboard that has the various Boolean operators. They can actually be very helpful, especially if you're searching something on which a lot has been written and you really want to try to focus on a very particular aspect of it. You can use and to narrow your search. You can also use not to eliminate certain things. So if you're searching a topic and you're not interested in a particular area, you can sort of tell the computers, hey, don't return any results that have this particular word in it. So I'm going to look for adventure therapy, and I'm going to see what's been written about it, its use for people with anxiety. Okay, so at this point, I'm just going to click search and see what I get for results. And I get 15 results, which is pretty manageable. So that's going to give me an opportunity, obviously, to go through and look at each individual article. I do want to point out over here on the left-hand side of the page where my cursor is now, you can add some modifiers. So a 15 search return is pretty manageable, but if you go with a more broad search, you may end up with much more in the way of results, and you may want to sort of try to limit those. And so what I would encourage you to do is to always click full text. It's automatically clicked, but sometimes we inadvertently click off of that. So make sure that you're accessing full text. I would also encourage you to click on scholarly and peer-reviewed journals. And so you can see that 8 of my returns were not of that type of publication. I would also encourage you to take a look at publication date. It goes without saying that our knowledge about various things changes rapidly. So to use stuff that was written in the early 2000s is essentially to be using stuff that's 20 years old. And typically we can do a lot better than that. So, I always encourage people to slide that over and try to be within the last 10 years. That's not a hard and fast rule. It really depends on the topic and sort of the amount of research that's happening around that topic. So that's just something to keep in mind. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at some of these results. So here's an article, How Individuals with Self-Reported Anxiety and Depression Experienced a Combination of Individual Counseling with an Adventurous Outdoor Experience, a Qualitative Evaluation. This looks like it was written in 2011, and it looks like it could be really useful to me. So I'm going to click on that to get a little bit more information, and this is where the library databases become very helpful. So obviously over here on the left, there's a PDF full text. I'll click that in a minute and we'll take a look at that. But the great part about that is that I can click that, obviously, and download it and have it on my computer if I want, and I prefer to annotate it in hard copy. I can certainly do that too, and print that off, etc. What's really cool here are the tools that you can use. So you can save it to your Google Drive. You can email it to yourself, which probably doesn't seem that revolutionary, but when you're, say, later in the semester trying to accrue a number of resources about a given topic, it can be really nice to email them to yourself, put a little note in the subject line, and Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, and what's really cool is that the database will send those to you, and you can sort of catalog and index those for future use, which is really helpful, and the PDF is attached right to the email. As noted in the Google Scholar video, citation really shouldn't be an issue because when you use the library databases, you can also click this Cite button. You can find the citation style that you're using, and you can copy and paste those citations. That's pretty easy. And then similar to email, if you want a permalink, which is just a direct link to this article, you can click on that, copy and paste that, and you have some breadcrumbs to get back to these articles. Because I can tell you from firsthand experience, it can be pretty easy to lose track of how you found a particular article, what buttons you clicked, what blend of search terms you used. So it can be really valuable to have that permanent link that brings you right back here. It's kind of like a social security number, VIN number, etc. And so it gets you right back to where you want to be. So you can read the abstract, obviously. That's a good idea to get a sense, like a 50,000 foot view of the article. You can find out where it was published. You can also check out the various subjects that are used to catalog this within the database, and you can click those and follow that as a means of research. But one of the things I really want to reinforce here is if I were really interested in the efficacy or the effectiveness of adventure therapy as a means of treating the symptoms associated with anxiety and depression, this article looks like it's probably going to be pretty valuable to me. So I'm obviously going to click on the PDF full text here and take a look at that. And one of the things I want to encourage you to do, well, there's a few things. One, I want you to take note of the journal that it was published in, because then you can use that as a way of sort of limiting or targeting your research. But more importantly than that, I would encourage you, as one of the first things that you do, to go down and take a look at the references, and within those references to see what other studies or articles this person has used that relate to adventure therapy. And I think that just in a quick search here, you can see that there are several articles about adventure therapy and books and chapters and the like. And so you could obviously follow those. You could either copy and paste the name of the article or chapter into Google Scholar and find it that way, or you could search them in the database. But I like to tell students that it's really smart. Without lifting a finger, you can find somebody else has already sort of done the heavy lifting for you, so that can be really helpful. And so I would encourage you to keep that in mind. It's an oft-forgotten thing that you can do, but it can be very, very helpful in terms of accessing more resources. Now, for your first assignment, you just need to find one that you find interesting and that you want to summarize and analyze, and so you don't have to, go too far out of your way to do that. But later in the semester, when you write your annotated bibliography and your literature review, it's going to be really important for you to be able to locate related articles that are zoomed in on a particular topic relatively quickly. And I can think of a few better ways than looking at the Works Cited page. So I highly encourage you to do that. So let's go back to the KVCC website here, and I just want to show you one other thing really quickly. And so we'll go back to academics, we'll go back to library, we'll just kind of start from the beginning again. And I want to show you Noodle Tools. And so some of you probably have had nightmarish experiences with citation. And so in this course, certainly I will do what I can to reinforce and to teach you tricks and tips and ideas that I know that make citation more manageable and sort of less daunting. And certainly using the automatic citation generators in Google Scholar and in the various databases that we use is a pretty simple and effective way to do that. But there may be times when you are using resources that you found elsewhere for which you need to make an end-of-text citation. And so I would highly encourage you to check out Noodle Tools. And again, the login information is available for you through the library website there on the highlighted portion. I like to just go straight to noodletools.com and scroll down to the bottom of the page where there are free tools. Click on that. And I like to use Noodle Tools Express. I don't like to go through the trouble of logging in and all that sort of stuff. So I bookmark this usually. And what this is it's a citation generator. And many of you are probably thinking, well, I already know a citation generator. I use EasyBib or Citation Machine or whatever. And that's great and that's fine. And you're more than welcome to use those. I find that those are not super user-friendly. And I also find that they often produce incorrect citations. And I just, knowing what I know about future classes, you will be penalized if your citations are not correct. So I want you to be equipped and prepared with tools that will help you. So typically in this class we're going to be using APA format. Certainly you're more than welcome to use MLA if you are a student in the humanities or in English or whatever. That's fine with me. The differences are very subtle. The key to citation is that we are consistent in its application, that we follow the customs that are expected with the citation, that we try to make it as convenient as possible for our reader, etc. So anyway, I'm going to click APA, and so I need to create an APA citation. What for? I can look, and there are commonly cited things. There are periodicals. There are non-periodicals. The great part about Noodle Tools is that they have a form or a tool for everything ranging from the Bible to YouTube to websites to magazines to government documents to everything in between. So if you're going to cite it, there's a 99.9% chance that Noodle Tools will have a tool that you can use. So it's pretty simple. And so you find what it is that you want to cite. Let's just say that you have a website that you want to cite. You found something on the Center for Disease Control website or the American Psychological Association website or whatever it is that you found. You click Create Citation. It's pretty straightforward. You fill this form out. What's great is that while you're filling it out, it will give you tips. So if they see you doing something incorrectly, it will help you. And then when you're finished, you go ahead and you click Save, and it auto-populates or creates a citation that you can then copy and paste and use in your Works Cited page. It's a very slick resource. It's very accurate, and again, it's very user-friendly. And I can't stress enough the value that it has for students. So I would highly encourage you to bookmark Noodle Tools Express also, and to use that in conjunction with the other tools that I've shown you. So I highly encourage you to spend some time playing around with the library databases. Again, some of that information you won't have access to any other way, just by virtue of the fact that those publications are paid subscriptions. So it's very important that you use them, because as we talk about in the Google Scholar video, sometimes you're going to hit paywalls, and oftentimes you can get around those paywalls simply by using the EBSCO databases. Now, if you still are having problems finding free, openly available versions of a document, then I highly encourage you to speak to one of our reference librarians, whether that's Stephen LaRochelle or Barb Bartley, and they can certainly help you out, and they'll be able to request that document or that publication from a local institution or otherwise get their hands on it, and they're very skilled at that, and it shouldn't be a problem. So if you have any questions about the library databases, let me know. But I hope that you utilize that as a tool, not only in this class, but in your future classes here at KVCC, as a way of getting your hands on some high-quality information in a relatively user-friendly way.